You must be here for Leanne's book chat. Come on in. Let me just close the door here. Hold on. Can I get you something to drink? We have soda, juice, or water. Yes, I think that's all. Here you go, Pam. The water is nice and cold. Oh, I do love to get those pets. You know how it makes my day.
Leanne, I just finished reading your book, Bringing Heaven to Earth, A Journey into Grace and Gratitude. And as I reflect back on my experience while I was reading it, I was just absolutely amazed at your extraordinary memory for childhood events and the things that you were thinking and feeling as you went through them. And then as you wrote more in the book, I was amazed at your awareness of yourself and how your behavior affects things and your ability to go back and look at yourself objectively and make changes. And so I have a few questions I kind of wanted to ask you about your book. How did your childhood influence the person you've become?
I think the good part was I landed in a family that was very into being responsible for yourself regardless of what your abilities, or in my case, disabilities were. I think if I had landed in a family that did everything for me, I wouldn't have gained a level of independence or stick-to-itness that I have. So part of that I think I came innately with, but it certainly had a lot of practice from when I was little. So they were very into being responsible for the part that I could do. And I think that was incredibly healthy. I give the example, I think, in the book of, they could have done everything even when I was really little, but they could get me dressed and then leave me on the bed when I'm like 4 or 5 to put on my shoes. And it took longer, I'm sure, for me to do that than it did for them to dress me. But the purpose was appropriate, that was the piece I could do. So if it took longer, that's okay. You be responsible for your piece. And certainly academically at school, do your part. So I think it was really helpful as far as having to deal with a life that's hard when you have a body that doesn't work, and all the things that have to be organized with that in order to be able to go out and do life like everybody else whose body works. So it was good.
What motivated you to write the book?
I retired after being so wiped out I didn't think I would do anything else ever again. I had used every ounce of energy and probably, I say, 20,000 drops more. Being a speech therapist because that's what I loved, working in Oak Grove School District because that's what I loved, but really drove myself completely in the ground. And I used to joke that even if I couldn't move because I got weaker, was getting weaker so fast, but you could roll me in a classroom and I could run the show because my personality and my persona could do that. But that got unplugged real fast when chronic fatigue from post-polio came in, and that knocked out my brain for clear thinking. And so it was really apparent that I needed to retire. And honestly, as hard as that was, it was a gift because I needed to stop. And so I didn't think I would be doing anything. I happened to have a read from an intuitive reading that I won from Colette Baron-Reid. And I'd never had one before, happened to win it, thinking it would be a fun thing to do. And there were a lot of profound parts in her reading that were right on. And one of them was that I needed to, it was like part of my plan while I was here to be able to write a book that would basically to give kind of like an inspirational kind of book about how I've melded the metaphysical and the physical world and that trust in that whole life force, the essence of life that carries the good in life, to seek that out and over again. And she's the one, and I said, I feel funky, writing a book about myself. That's not who I am. But she's the one who said, no, it's like a life story as a teaching. And she said, and it's going to be about grace and gratitude. And that's why it's the subtitle of the book. And that clicked. I went, that I can do, and that feels completely right on for me. And so I just started. And the whole process of it was, I was still doing a little bit of work in the district once a week, and my body, still trying to get over having worked full time. Took about 1.5 years, but the engagement of doing it was beautiful. I would sit and just meditate a little bit, and then I'd feel the energy of my heart open. And it was clearly to me a flood of something that felt like it was probably already written somehow, because it came out. I would wait. I did a lot of sitting and waiting and listening almost for ideas. I never wrote an outline. It just flowed out. And I never worried about what I'd write by the next time I sat down. I'd sit down in front of the computer about once or twice a week. But my heart would be way open, and these blocks of thought would come in almost poetically, and out it came. And I'd have to have dictionary.com on the computer, and I have pretty good vocabulary. But I would come up with these statements, and I go, I know that word. I wonder if that's really the right way to use it in that sentence. And every time it was very encompassing, the definition of the word that was perfect for the sentence. So to say that it felt like a true co-creation, divine and human, absolutely. And it felt like my job was to get it on the paper and let it come out, and that there would be like a healing energy with it. And so that's why I wrote it. I'm certainly not one who usually shares information about my own life at all. That's not who I am. I'm more into helping everybody else usually, but the feel that this was what I was supposed to do, and that it would be extremely helpful for others. I always say it to kind of bring them up a notch, to open them up to possibility, because I've had that over and over again for myself, in miraculous results when I really was dead-ended and had nothing, and many times suffering from that physically, and then get an opening. There's such relief, and you want that for others too.
Tell me about your 3 canine companions and the role that they've played in keeping you independent.
I've had 3 service dogs from Canine Companions, and they've all been spectacular. I've had lots of things in life that have helped me become independent, and I think those have been coming my way over the years because of my desire. Life brings you what you really, if you've got that drive to want something, and you're really open and honest with it, I do believe that it comes in healthy ways. And I don't know anything that has been more stable and 100% good as far as receiving than my dogs, because they not only obviously for the physical things that they do for me. I mean, Jeannie knows 75 commands, and that's incredible. All my service dogs have had exceptional skills, but their ability to engage and work with me, no matter where I am, gives me a really high level of independence. And when I worked, the dogs were at work with me all day long, whatever dog I had, carrying the briefcase, going in and out of the van, dropping things during, picking up things that I dropped during the day. I mean, it goes on and on and on. One thing led to another, and, I ended up getting my first dog like a month after I graduated from graduate school. And so I started my working career with a dog, and have never been not with a dog in my working career in all these years. So they bring not only a much higher level of independence for me, but they soften everything because they have their personality. I mean, they're so loving and they're so kind, and